Is update on your third stimulus, second stimulus, and first stimulus. And for the first time in a while, I want to go over unemployment and business grants and business money. And I want to clear the air as well for SSI, SSDI, Social Security, and railroad benefits. I've seen a lot of questions and comments, and I haven't done enough for unemployment in recent days. So I wanted to touch back base with that as well. Thank you for joining me on a slightly later What the Shock. I got vaccinated earlier today, and yes, feeling wonderful. I encourage you to get vaccinated as well as my second dose. And that's why there was no Mornings LA today, and that's why programming has been a little bit later than usual in today's schedule. But I'm next live with you at 6 p.m. Pacific Standard Time with Evenings LA. That'll be a double header. It'll start with Check and then go to Purple at 7 o'clock. Why do I feel like I'm whispering like Joe Biden? I feel like I'm whispering. We're gonna crush the virus. I don't know why I feel like I'm whispering. Do they hear me? I feel, yeah, it's one of those days. The toast is no, the toast is not toasting. The toast is burnt by now. I'm still looking for the bacon. No joke, actually. Today, after I got the vaccine, I said I feel like sausages. I don't know why. I got the vaccine. I said I feel like sausages. Maybe getting vaccinated makes you want to have sausages. I felt like Italian sausages with lots of onions, and so I went into the market and I looked and I looked and I looked and it was sort of like FPC retro. I couldn't find it. I looked for the Italian sauce. I couldn't look. I looked for sausages, the uncooked sausages. I couldn't find it. It was like FPC retro. It was like I kept on looking for it and looking for it and it wasn't there. How can a market not have sausages? It's just like it's just the same people that left out FPC retro left out sausages in this market. So what is this world coming to? In this recording, I'm going to clarify unemployment questions for you. I'm going to clarify SSI and SSDI, and I'm going to clarify business stuff for you. Business moolah. I can't get you sausages. That's not my. I can't fix that. Pork vegetarian. That sounds wonderful. I meant the. I like the turkey sausages. They're really quite wonderful. You could just sort of fry them real hot. Put some olive oil in the pan. Just fry it really hot. Sort of pan fry them so they get a burnt edge on them, and just put them in some French toast. Just delicious. Really delicious. They serve that at the casino. On Friday night when the ice cream's on sale. But let's get to the details. The details is in the third stimulus package, there is unemployment assistance. There is money for rent, money for businesses. There is nothing for SSI and SSDI. The money for unemployment is the following: UI, PUA, FPUC, PEUC will all be extended from March to August. It will be $400 a week. You're currently under second stimulus from January to March at $300 a week, and UI, PUA, PEUC as well. Uh, if, as you know, under first stimulus, you had FPUC from March to July of $600 a week. Then I'm going to come back to unemployment in a second. Then business assistance in the third stimulus package has a $5,000 business grant for EIDL, has a $5 million grant for restaurants. I can't even say it with a straight face. I don't. Those that restaurant union is just. And then there is another round of PPP. And then for SSI and SSDI, there is nothing. Let me make something clear. And and I know that the love of this channel is very strong. Elsewhere on the fringes, there are people that are telling you that there are updates on SSI and SSDI, Social Security and railroad benefits, that $2,400 or $200 a month, that there's a new information, that there's updates, that there's new news, that there's something new that came out. I got to tell you, you've been with me since April of last year. I tell you, I record enough to tell you when something's breaking. There has been no update on SSI and SSDI since December. There has been literally no update. And so the totality is saying the update is there is no update. When you see someone showing you a March 2020 bill, that's not an update. I saw other people today um, talking about the update on SSI and SSDI by showing a March 2020 bill. That's sort of ridiculous. Let me give you an update about the Roaring Twenties of the 1920s. There's a new update on the Roaring Twenties out there. Hey, Evelyn, how are you? Thank you for coming to Purple Hawk. I'm really excited for you. There's a new update on the Roaring Twenties of the 1920s. Did you know the Roaring Twenties was in the 1920s and it was roaring? That's the new update. I just everyone welcome Evelyn to the room. It's just so there is no update. Now that's not to say we're not going to push, but the update is there is no update. And it seems as though it has turned into, I don't know. It seemed as though it's been sort of like a coach strings jugular thing that other people want to tell you there's an update when there is no update. There is no update. That is not particularly bad. That is not particularly good. It's just there is no update. All right, let's now turn to unemployment. What I want to explain to you for unemployment is that your weeks in which you are unemployed have their own universe. They stand alone. If you were unemployed in March, or let's choose a month, let's choose April of 2020. If you were unemployed for 4 weeks in the month of April of 2020, that has nothing to do with the current week of February 2021. So if there's something incorrect with that April week, or something unpaid for that April week, you can still get paid that money. And it's not a particularly easy concept for some people to understand, so that's why I want to go over it. If, for example, you got paid in the month of April $95 of UI and got $600 of FPUC on top of it, but now in watching escalated benefits on this channel, you realize you qualify for $300 a week instead of $99 a week. And you wonder, well, that's April of last year. This is February. Doesn't matter. Well, I'm employed now. Doesn't matter. You are unemployed that week. Every week, the way unemployment works is every week has its own universe. And so it looks at the week as that universe unto itself. You may be employed now, but you are unemployed that week. Now, that's the first thing. The second thing is it's also unusual to think of a concept where if you are unpaid for something in the past, then if the law allowed for you to get paid during that week, then you can get paid for that week. So let me give you an example. I've had people who jump in the chat and they were never paid for March and April of last year, and they just filed their unemployment claim this week. Well, guess what? They're going to get paid for March and April last year. That's how unemployment works. So don't worry that something in your life today is different than the week that you're certifying, because all that matters is the week that you're certifying. Let me give you another example. I have had viewers to jump in the chat and they say, I never applied for unemployment. I never thought of doing it. I watched your videos and I applied. Or they already figured it out before watching the videos and they applied. But then they said, what weeks do I get? And I see, what week is your date of eligibility? Your date of eligibility is so important because your date of eligibility is when your claim starts. I've always said from the very beginning, if you're applying today for unemployment in the week of February, but you have been unemployed since March of 2020 and have been unemployed every single week, your date of eligibility is not February 2021. It's March of 2020 because you're owed all those weeks from March to the present. That's how unemployment works. The single most important thing you cannot mess up on unemployment is the date of eligibility. The first week you became unemployed, because that's when your eligibility period starts. And it doesn't matter if it's in the past. Doesn't matter if it's in the past. The next thing is that as soon as that claim is paid, you are paid for those weeks as though you were in those weeks right now. Let me show you what's going on. You may say, well, currently under third stimulus, I'm only going to get $400 a week of FPUC. And under second stimulus, I'm only going to get $300 a week of FPUC. Well, if you were unemployed in March of last year and your date of eligibility is March of last year, you're going to get $600 a week for those weeks in March. Let me show you how this works. I've had viewers in the last few weeks who jump in the chat and say, I just filed for unemployment just a few days ago. I was unemployed since March. I applied in December. Okay, so let's go through this because this is huge. You apply in December and you've been unemployed since March. So this is how much the person's going to get paid. They'll get paid their UI or PUA each week, starting the month of March. And then they'll get paid starting the month of March to July, $600 a week, because FPUC went from March to July. Then after July, they won't get FPUC because there was no FPUC till December. So they'll get their UI and PUA, and then in December, they'll pick up FPUC again. That's how it works. It's important that you certify for benefits all the time. And it's important that you understand that things sometimes take a while for unemployment. It takes a while for PUA and UI. When this channel launched on April 25th, PUA had not even gone live. I had a real difficult problem explaining to people what PUA was. They had no idea what it was. It was such a foreign concept. What FPUC was, it was a foreign concept. I kept on messing up the words myself because it was so new. It had not gone live, and it went live in California on April 28th, 3 days later. It went live in Florida, I think maybe the first week of May. And then some states like Hawaii just were very slow. Well, what happened then was people just didn't get paid for weeks and weeks and weeks. I had Eileen Bellenkamp, who is in Florida. Thank you, Disco Dancer, for the super chat. For the dancing parent, I really appreciate it. I had Eileen in Florida who applied in May. She never got paid until July. You know how much 8 weeks is of unemployment and PUA? It was a it was a buttload of money. It was $10,000. It was a lot of money. I had Kevin out of Florida. His unemployment claim went up and down, and they argued about stuff, and it went around and it went up and down. He held on. He got $15,000. Things take a while. The next thing to understand for unemployment is escalated benefits. You can raise your benefits even in the past. We sit here now in February. If your benefits were underpaid by your state months ago, you can still raise those benefits even if you're now employed. So if you were unemployed in March and April and May last year, and you've had a job ever since, you're doing well and you're putting food on the table, everything's good, but now you're watching the videos like, honey, I think I got underpaid for my unemployment in March and April. How much? Well, it looks like I got underpaid like $300 a week. $300 a week. How many weeks? Like 20 weeks, honey. 20 weeks of $300. That's a lot of money, honey. How much money is that? That's over 10,000. $10,000. Yes, you can go back and fix prior weeks of unemployment, even if you're now employed. It's just you're fixing those weeks in the past. They're standalone weeks. All right, let's get to business money. Business money. And the hardest thing that I had with this channel around May was some people thought businesses were just, Fortune 500 companies. And they didn't understand when I refer to business, I'm referring to the single mom who drives a car for Uber. That's a business. The single dad that rents out an apartment on Airbnb. That's a business. Businesses are sole practitioners, independent contractors, Uber, Lyft, Airbnb, Grubhubs, Postmates. All that is a business. And you need to consider yourself a business because this is where you get grants. Now, understand you get that plus unemployment, plus stimulus checks, plus paid, plus other stuff. You could get SNAP as well. Absolutely, you can get SNAP in addition to business grants. So let's go over the business money under, and I'll tell you where you can get money right now. You can get an EIDL right now at sba.gov. It's available right now, and you would literally get funded in 48 hours. It's that simple. Thank you, Tasha, for the dancing pair. You would apply. The applicant would be your name, your personal name of the business is your name. You do not have an employer. You're an independent contractor. The Social Security would be your number, your home address, your address on your tax return, and then when it asks the income, it would be your Schedule C, line one, gross rev, and then it's going to ask for cost of goods sold. It'll be line two of your Schedule C. Now, over the last 9 months, I've had people say, I didn't do a Schedule C, but I wasn't Airbnb, I was an Uber or Lyft. My confusion is, where did you account for? Where did you claim the taxes on that Airbnb? I put it on the main page of the tax return. I'm like, that's not correct. That's not correct. If you are Uber, Lyft, Grubhub, Airbnb, that is a Schedule C item. Schedule C means it's a separate piece of paper. It means it's a separate piece of paper that says Schedule C. You get from IRS, and you attach it to the return, and it lists that, and it says what type of business is it. It's rideshare, Uber, Lyft, whatever you want to call it. It has a code to it. You put it in there. Line one is how much you made, 4,000, 5,000, 6,000. Line two is a gross rev. Line two is the cost of goods sold. And then you take the number and you add that up and you put that onto the main tax return. I've had viewers say they're not doing it right. No problem. You can go back and you can do an amended return, because if you're an Airbnb or Grubhub, this needs to be appearing as your Schedule C. Why? Because you're gonna see throughout the course of this channel that Schedule C will determine your ability to get this money. The next thing to understand is that as in addition to an EIDL, then you can also get a PPP. A PPP starts as a loan but turns into a grant. You reach out to Fundera or Cabbage. They're going to ask you the same things that I just said to you. Where's the Schedule C? Let me see your bank account, and things like that. Now, things you do not need. You do not need a 1099. Thank you, David Ortiz, for the cat. Oh, meow, meow. How are you? I love that. It's really. Thank you. Uh, the 1099 has caused viewers confusion. Viewers have said, I never got a 1099, or I did get a 1099. Who cares? 1099 is not you. 1099 is something the employer does for themselves. It's not something that concerns you. You do not the existence of a 1099 or the missing nature of a 1099 has nothing to do with your Schedule C. You just do a Schedule C. You just do a Schedule C and you get it on file. And you do not have to have a 1099 to do Schedule C. All you just have to have is revenue. That is a sole practitioner or independent contractor. You don't have to have a business name. You don't have to have a corporation. It is simply like Uber and Lyft. So under PPP, you can get thousands of dollars. Under SBA, you can get thousands of dollars as well. Under third stimulus, there will be a $5,000 business grant, and it looks like it's EIDL again. It looks like the third stimulus EIDL grant is not a supplement or replacement for the prior one. So the way it's written that I see it is, it does not look like you're excluded from getting another $5,000 EIDL grant because you got $1,000 before, or because you got $2,000 before. It looks like you can get another $5,000 EIDL grant, the way I read it. Now, ultimately, SBA does what it wants to do. And while it doesn't say that, they may still insert their own policies. restaurant owners can get up to $5 million a location. I know it's ridiculous. I just sense it's never going to happen. I just sense SBA is going to have incredible restrictions for you to get that money. But it's not like you just sort of walk in and say hi. Where's that $5 million grant? Just can you give me $5 million of free money? I look at it and I just say, wait a second, is this going to go live and be out, gone like in 10 seconds? Because you know how many businesses, you know how many restaurants there are in the country, and how many taco stands, how many food carts. I mean, it qualifies a taco stand as qualifying for a $5 million grant. David Ortiz, how's it going? How are you? Thank you for the dancing pair. I appreciate it. I mean, if you're in Los Angeles, there's a person on Instagram I follow who's very popular, who goes to all the taco stands in Los Angeles, or outdoor, food stands that are open, 5 o'clock at night to 2 a.m. in the morning. There's like hundreds of them. There's maybe 1,000 of them in LA. You'll see them. They're just 500 people on the line, and they sort of pull up, and they're suddenly, it's there. It's there. $5 million for all of those. That's a lot of money. I just sense that money's going to be gone like that. So don't be expecting to get the $5 million of free money. I think you sort of know that. Get that PPP under the third stimulus. Get the PPP on the second stimulus. Get the EIDL grant under the third stimulus. Get the EIDL loan currently. And there's always micro and mini grants across the board. And there you are. Wow, that's 20 minutes already. Let me give you the big update where you are on the afternoon show. If you've not subscribed, make sure you subscribe. I mean, why aren't you subscribed? I have an LLC. Can I get help? Can I get one to help jumpstart my business? Monique, that's a great question. Anyone else have questions like that? Drop on the screen because that helps guide me on the discussion. That's a wonderful question. The confusion, short answer is no. Thank you, David Ortiz, for another dancing chat. The short answer at the moment is no, but it was supposed to be in there. So I don't know what's going on. The president had said he was going to do all this stuff for new business creation. He wanted to have new business creation with new this and new that. The problem is there's none of that in here. Hey, Carmen, thank you for the dancing pair. There's nothing in there, David and Carmen. There's nothing in there for anything new. And I have a lot of viewers wanting for stuff new. And the stuff for existing stuff is sort of crappy. $5,000 is sort of crappy. Now PPP, you can get a chunk of change out of PPP, but you cannot get a decent grant from anything in this third stimulus. And where is that money to start a new business? I don't know what's going on. People are asking me. I think I'm getting the stimulus since I filed last year. And then I'm wondering if they'll be in the next bill. He may do a standalone bill for business innovation. He made such a big pitch about business creation, and there's nothing in here. Hey, Aaron, thank you for the dancing pair. I really appreciate it. There's nothing about here for business creation. So I don't. It's like it's schizo. Uh, I don't know why it's not in there. Can I get a PPP or EIDL if my 1099 has an A to C, but it is not rec? What was the word? Um, can I get an PPP or EIDL if my 1099 has an AC, but it's not NES? I don't know what that means, but let me go back again. Remember, you have to have a Schedule C on your tax return. A 1099 means absolutely nothing. What is a 1099? A 1099 means the employer gave you, not the employer, but the person you worked for as an independent, as a 1099 employee, as a 1099 independent contractor, gave you a 1099. They gave you a 1099. It's like Google gave you a 1099. That doesn't create the requisite of you to file a Schedule C. You have to file Schedule C. Let me make it another way. I know for a fact, because I've heard this from Uber and Lyft drivers, that Uber, for example, will not give you a 1099 unless you make an enormous sum of money. So if you make $4,000 or $5,000, they're not going to give you a 1099. So that doesn't mean you don't file Schedule C. You still file Schedule C. My business has been registered since June 2020. Could I still get it? It depends. We have to see the language. A lot of the stuff has been 2019-ish, but we have to see. Some of the stuff in this third stimulus package is suddenly becoming 2020-ish, so that's what's promising. The the food thing, the restaurant thing makes no sense because it talks about any restaurant established between now and the end of, I think it was this year. It's very weird. It doesn't make any sense. I just read someone says do the non-file filing. I opened up again, or did I misunderstand? Um, so someone is asking about the stimulus check, and that non-file filing. So if someone told you the non-file filing reopened, that's good, but that doesn't get you a stimulus check. The only way that gets you a missing first or second stimulus check is by filing that tax return. The, the non-file filing does not get you a missing stimulus check. So I'm an independent contractor that gets a 1099. Can I still apply for a PPP or EIDL after I file taxes? Yeah. So you can fix things with either a late return or an amended return, and then you can go get your PPP or EIDL. Absolutely. Do I need to fix? That was a great question. Do I need to fix my 1099 taxes because I didn't know to Schedule C? Yes. So I would just do an amended. For example, the answer is yes. For example, if you are Uber Lyft and you made $4,000 last year, 2000, well, let's say 2019. You made 2019 $4,000 gross revenue, and you put that on page one of your tax return, but did not list it as Schedule C. I guess you put it as, I don't know, revenue or sales or something on the first page, which is not where it belongs. Um, then and did not have a Schedule C. Then what you can do is do an amended return and then put it on Schedule C. And then Schedule C appears on page one, and it'll recalculate everything. And then you'll see if you overpaid, underpaid, or something like that. Are you going to receive a summary of the bill? I have a summary. Well, we have the bill. So at this point, it doesn't make sense to. Do you mean do I have a summary? I did get a summary from a company from an outlet about the bill, but it was at that point, it was, before. Let me back up. I got a summary of a bill from Joe Biden, written by Joe Biden and his team in January. Now we have the bills, so there's no reason for me to get someone else's summary of something that you and I could read. Now, there are some items that clearly will be up for interpretation, and that's why I want you to read it and I want me to read it. That's a great question. Are people on SSI getting a stimulus check? Absolutely. I mean, I try to hit this thing on a head as often as I can. I try to shout it from the top of the mountains as loud as I can. If you're on SSI and SSDI, you are getting $5,000 to $10,000 potentially under this third stimulus package. You are getting a $1,400 stimulus check. You're getting rent assistance. You're getting utility assistance. You're getting SNAP assistance, or food assistance. You're getting free internet. Those are among the items you can get on the third stimulus package. So I have so many people that jump in the comments and say, I don't get anything. I don't know who these people are unless it's Elon Musk. It's like, yes, you're getting something. You're getting thousands of dollars under this package. And I think they're coming from somewhere else where they got them confused. But that's a great question. What is the homeowner's assistance under the third stimulus package? Yeah, I haven't read that. If you saw, well, if you have, now that you're a member of the channel, and you have the bill, you can sort of jump to it. Um, if you're on a computer, by the way, it's a searchable PDF, which means you can type in the word. You can open. How do I describe this? When you go to open the PDF, on the side there's a little button where you can search the PDF, and the quickest word to search in the PDF is the words like homeowner, because there is a homeowner provision in here. Here it is. It's emergency housing voucher is section 4102. So you want to write down that number 4102, and then you want to go to section 4107. Those are the two that I want you to look at, 4102 and 4107. If you can just pull that search function out of the PDF, and it'll jump you right to that section. The sections aren't particularly long, and there you go. What if you're renting to own? Uh, what if you're renting to own? Any help with that? So long as you have a lease. I always get questions where people say, I'm borrowing a room, or you have to have a lease. Are the kids getting $1,700 financial aid? College students, $1,700 financial aid. Kids are getting a $3,600 stimulus check, paid over 1 year, paid in part over 1 year, or $3,000 stimulus check paid over 1 year. How is Sir Loin doing? He's doing well. Should we file taxes now or wait? If you're missing the first or second stimulus check, if that's the question, if that's the reason you're asking about filing a tax return, file right away. File right away, and go to one of those online tax preparers. Go in person, tell them your situation, tell them you're missing the first and second stimulus check, and you will literally blink and the check will show up. It's that wonderful. Bill Guerin said, reach out to the volunteers. They're in the description to this chat, at news.la.com/community. When does the third stimulus start? Well, I guess the question is, when does it become law? We have to wait. It's going to land in the Senate on by the end of this week. Would you please explain the Casino to me? The Casino is this famous place where Sir Loin and the fellow cows go. It's very exclusive, and you can always tell when Sir Loin is there because his Cadillac is out in front. What happened to retro for adult dependents? A lot of things disappear. A lot of things disappear from the third stimulus package. Ultimately, the messaging of this channel is very clear, and I think you agree with me, is that we don't forget and we don't roll over, but we don't rant, but we do push. And ultimately, things like the $3,200 for adult dependents should be in there. And when the bill gets to Senate, that's when you got to push. You got to push with the respective senators, which I'll be covering again tonight on Purple. You need to push with each of them. Student loan debt forgiveness. Big fight. President Biden wants to do $10,000. Everyone else wants to do $50,000. Chuck and Liz want to do $50,000. 10 attorney generals wrote him a letter Friday says it should be $50,000. It's a big battle. Yes, the Cadillac, and he goes there because he spends that moolah. He spends that moolah at the casino. And sometimes they have lobsters in honor of Mitch, and they show up the lobsters, in their lobster mobile, and they get battered right when they walk in. Um, Magnificent. Yes, absolutely magnificent. We're 34 minutes on the clock. Thank you for joining me on a big afternoon's late broadcast of What the Chuck. I'm next with you live at 6 o'clock, which may be now because we're going so late. We're running so late today. It will be a double header. 6 o'clock will be Evenings LA. Then I'm going right into Purple. Evenings LA will have a big update about your stimulus, about economics, talks about the big financial news of the day. Then purple, we go right into rent, utilities, food, all the items of the third stimulus package, first stimulus and second stimulus that you get as well. It says the EIDL advance is no longer available. That's a great question. That's SBA's website. SBA's website is just a hot mess. It's actually worse than it was under Jovita Carranza. We thought it could be worse. It is worse now. They are paying the remainder of the $10,000 grant. They just don't want you thinking you can go get a new one at the moment. So that's why yeah, they shouldn't, they should, and now they have these two words, target advance, non, God, they made such a book confusion of that. So if you've not subscribed, make sure you subscribe. Why aren't you subscribing? This is the channel to subscribe to. Come on already, just subscribe. Hit that subscribe button. Then hit that alert button. And if you're not become a member, consider becoming a member so you get the documents. Here we go. Here's the bill. Here's the bill. Members of this channel got the bill before anyone else. The bill goes over the details of the third stimulus package. In the next few days, you're going to see that bill broken down part by part on this channel for members only. So make sure you grab it as well. If you've not, and meantime, if you've not liked this video, like this video. With 1,000 people and 500 likes, let's get those likes up. I'll see you next. It may be just right after this recording with Evenings LA. I'll have big updates for your third stimulus check and the big financial and economic news for the day. Stay informed, stay focused, keep on smiling, and stay with LA for more.